Welcome, everybody. It's session number 2. Last week, we set a good foundation and we went over some of the principles of what it is to be human. One, that everything that you think about, say, or do all revolves around trying to fulfill need, either personally or relationally. So every single thing, no matter what it is, if you're going to school, if you're doing your homework, if you're at work, if you're talking to someone, if you're walking in a park, even when you're sleeping, everything revolves around trying to fulfill need. The ultimate goal is to, in that process of how you think and what way you communicate and the way you behave, if you do it with an assertive mindset and the consequent actions, everything's golden. Assertion is the ultimate goal, period, end of story. Every day, all day, history, moving forward into the future. If you learn to be assertive, you're intentional, you're present in the moment, you're activated, you're not spending too much time focused on the past or too much orientation towards the future. You still have to weigh both of those time frames in there, but ultimately you're locked in, and therefore you're not carrying a lot of excessive stuff outside of that moment, which makes it so you can focus, which makes it so that you can tap into your power. And if you just learn to manage that and you do it with assertion, calm, composed, optimistic, faithful, positive, those types of mentality, those ingredients are what makes up assertion. I'm going to talk about assertion a whole bunch every single time on this. Every single time I talk to anyone, it revolves around how do you learn how to be more assertive. If you're passive, you're ignoring, you're withdrawing, you're isolating, you're procrastinating, you're doing nothing to march in the direction that you need to go in. So therefore, you're basically shooting yourself in the foot and you're piling up negativity. But lots of people are passive, and lots of people are passive in certain scenarios. I want to go back one step. This is all about difficult circumstances. And difficult circumstances, in essence, simply boil down to any time in your life, any moment that you're carrying around excessive and unnecessary negativity that has not been resolved and expelled. I want to be clear on that. Let's go back to that passive stuff. If you have a mindset of trying to fulfill need in passivity, not going to work. If you're trying to be aggressive, that means you're being too hostile, you're being too forceful, you're overdoing it. It's not going to work. It'll be damage, short-term satisfaction, and then all the consequent nonsense that you don't need. And then passive-aggressive, a hybrid of the both of those. We'll talk about those as well, but I want to hone in today big time on assertion. When you're assertive, you're content and you're grateful and you're humble and you're balanced, you're moderated. If everybody realized that they can stay in the moment, as long as there's not a physical threat, that they can realize that in any moment, in any scenario, if no one's putting their hands on you or striking you or any of that stuff, that you can learn to be at peace, to have joy, and to be free. It's all relative, but you have the power if you're intentional and if you message yourself. And here's where the answer is. This is the big thing here. If you use messages that are accurate, that are actually truly good, and are useful, that's where it is. That's the sweet spot. That's where you want to be as much as you can percentage-wise. I often ask people, once I explain the definitions of passivity and aggression and passive aggression and then assertion, a lot of people confuse them. There's a lot of blurry definitions out there. And sometimes people think they're being assertive when they're really super aggressive. Sometimes people think that they're being passive aggressive and they're really being aggressive. It's all relative to certain people. You want to have an objective perspective about all of these terms. But for our purposes today, I ask them, how often, percentage-wise, are you in a mindset and then the consequent actions of passivity and then aggression and passive aggression and then assertion? And most people who are struggling with negativity or difficult circumstances are unfortunately using the 3 forms of aggression, and it doesn't work. But it's what we're taught, it's what's permitted, it's what's allowed. Most of us are not role modeled or trained or educated or held accountable and disciplined to learn how to be assertive. If you learn how to be assertive, you're loving you, you're loving the person in front of you, you're loving that relationship. If you're on your own and you're being assertive, you're moving forward and you're loving yourself. You're not making poor choices. From the moment you wake up all the way until you go to sleep, you have opportunity to make sometimes thousands of different decisions each and every day about how you think and what you do, who you do it with, where you go, how you approach it, all of that. It's all goes back to decision making. If you are making the best informed decisions, you're going to make that good choice all day long and you're going to get the good nutrients and you're not going to be piling up negativity. So I don't know who you are. I don't know where you are. I don't know what you're going through necessarily. I want to know and I want to be of help. But in general, if you understand these principles, you can stop right in this moment today and say, no, I'm going to choose to flush out all the negativity and I'm going to be at peace. One of my good buddies, I've known him for a long time. I just texted him yesterday to see how he was doing, and he said better. And I said, okay, good. I said, how come? And he said, because he's learning to stop worrying. Worrying is a negative, passive aggressive, hostile, not much good ROI. If you're worrying, it's our way of trying to control something that we don't have the power to control. It's our way of trying to get through difficult circumstances. And he's learning to be more intentional. Instead of worrying, he's choosing to have trust and to have faith. He's choosing to be more assertive, more intentional, and to progress forward and not overly concern himself with stuff that he really can't control. That's a beautiful place to be. Are you a worrier? It's natural. A lot of us do it at different times. Me personally, I can't stand worrying. The moment I start to worry, it sets off a whole bunch of uncomfortable emotions that are supposed to alert me and let me know this is not the viable option. This is not the solution. And so you got to pay attention to that stuff. The moment you're uncomfortable, you're being told that the life lesson is there. Stop, hold on a second. What the heck's going on here? There's negativity on my premises, and I have to make a decision about, am I going to pursue the viable solution or am I going to choose to worry? Another one that is very commonplace for people is when they blame. We always want to know, like, what's the source? What caused us that negativity in the first place? And a lot of times it comes out from somewhere else. And so we hone in and we want to target, and we want to know exactly who did it and why. And then we want oftentimes for it to be rectified on their end or for them to be punished and have some kind of consequence so they learn their lesson and they choose not to do it again. That's human nature, right? We want to blame, but the inherent in the blame process is you want to find out the source, but it doesn't matter because once that source hits you with whatever, I got hit yesterday, big time, with a whole whoosh of false accusations. I'm not a big fan of that. I do not like to be misconstrued. It happens every once in a while, and when it does, I gotta absorb it all. And I'm not going to refuse and deny or reject that it happened. Once it happened, I experience it. I now have that negativity on my premises. I gotta go into solution mode. Those good solutions. And so that process is a lot of, all right, is there anything here for me to learn or glean? Is there anything nutritious that I could gain from that would be a life lesson that's going to help me get better? If that's the case, then I do a cost benefit analysis. I weigh the pros and the cons, and I hold on to that good stuff, and then I dismiss the negatives. And sometimes that's a process, and sometimes it takes years, sometimes it takes months, sometimes even decades. My goal, your goal should be every single day before you go to sleep that you have done everything possible to reduce and even eliminate any negativity so that you can sleep in peace, that you can start the next day fresh. When you're not starting the next day fresh and you're dragging in that negativity, some of us have negativity from day one of our lives and it's just accumulating. Some of us are walking around with an excessive 500, 1,000-pound weight of discomfort stored within us from the negativity. Fear, stress, anger, guilt, and grief. Those 5 uncomfortable negative emotions are supposed to alert us that there's a problem. They're supposed to alert us to a problem that kicks into our motives to try to solve it. When we don't solve it properly, we stack it and we hold on to it. Think about trying to go one day and you get a pound of negativity. It's a little uncomfortable. You're carrying in your backpack, right? But you get used to it. Progressive overload. You get, all right, I know it's there. And then it unfortunately starts to compound like interest in a bank account. So it turns to 1.5 pounds and then 2 pounds. Wait a minute, another pound of negativity comes somewhere. If you're not processing through it, you end up carrying, think about it, weight that is holding you down. You get used to it, but it starts to really slow you down. It messes with your will. It messes with your ability to set goals and then try to accomplish them. That's where people get depressed. It's the pressing down. You got too much discomfort that's scrunched in within you. When that's happening, it becomes very difficult to operate. It becomes very difficult to become assertive. Look at it like it's an enemy. That negativity is trying to destroy you. Think about that. It's trying to take down, tear down. It's trying to diminish your fulfillment of resources. It's trying to get you to be uncomfortable, and it's trying to get you to react with one of those forms of aggression, because if you do that, the negativity just keeps exacerbating. It gets worse and worse and worse. And then all too often, unfortunately, when people are desperate and they're really struggling, when they got that pile of negativity, you're desperate. So you quick grabs. Let me try to gain a little bit of this that feels good for a moment or some temporary relief. That then creates another problem. So you got even more negativity. Think about going up the hills in life, because everybody's going to have that. You're carrying 1,000 pounds of extra weight. It's tearing you up. And then on the down slope as well. It's all about doing whatever you can every single day, excuse me, as much as possible to learn how to metabolize that negativity, to get rid of it. And so last week I shared this, and I'm going to share it again, because this is about life strategies, and it is about tools, and it is about tactics, and it's also about skill mastery. One of the strategies you can employ is to get real scientific about this, get real organized about that negativity. One of my favorite exercises for folks to do is go up and set a Google Doc or something. You can write this down and you can type it up. You can use whatever platform you like. Ultimately, you write down all the sources that have had a negative impact in your life. And you need to go back to your parents. You need to put yourself on that list. And you got to put the other common people that have had a negative influence and have said or done or have not said or not done something. So any kind of abuse or neglect, any kind of negativity. And then in the next column, you put stress. And then you put anger, you put guilt, and then you put fear, and then you put grief. Those 5 uncomfortable emotions are vital for you to understand them. I'll explain those more over time. In the box, you put down what is it they said or did, or what they didn't say or didn't do that you deem to be negative. Be as specific as possible and affix it, align it with stress. Stress is too much pressure, too much demands trying to cause you to act in a certain kind of way, think in a certain kind of way. Anger is you're not getting what you need or want, in particular the way that you would like it to be. It's unjust. Fear is you're afraid that you're not going to get something that you need, or you had something that you need and it's no longer available. The threat of that. Guilt is you either did something wrong or made a mistake, and those are 2 very different things. Mistake is you just didn't know better. Wrong is you intentionally, selfishly chose to do something wrong that was harmful to yourself or someone else. And that comes from 2 different sources, outside of yourself and then also internally. And then grief is you had something of value, you lost it, and or the discrepancy between what you have and what you need or what you want. So if you think about those 5 and you put that, whatever somebody has done, including yourself, any thoughts that you might have, if you blame, if you complain, if you whine, if you worry, those are all aggressive based, those are abusive and neglectful to your own self. That causes you stress, should cause you to be angry and fearful and guilty and grief ultimately. When you do this exercise, what you'll find is thematically, there are certain things that are your difficulties, your circumstances, your negativity. And once you get that theme down, there might be 5 for you, it might be 10, but ultimately I don't see many folks that have more than 10 different themes. Once you get those themes down, then it becomes very easy, like, oh, now I recognize. And then you also realize that you set yourself up quite often, whether it's conscious or subconscious or unconscious, you put yourself in position to have these outcomes where this abuse and neglect keeps happening. And you want to know why? This is a big word. It's called capitulation. The reason why we capitulate into these circumstances is 2 main reasons. One is we're hoping that magically, fantasy laden, that all of a sudden it will be rectified and then everything that was stored up will be removed. It doesn't happen that way. Every once in a while, you could capitulate into a scenario like that and it won't have that same exact outcome. And great. But we're often, the other reason is we often do it in the hopes that this time I will have the skill and I will activate it in order to be able to successfully navigate this scenario. That's the goal. We don't want this negativity within us. It ruins us. It causes so many rippling and cascading effects, it's not even funny. It's an infection. It's poison. It's cancerous. Heck, I'm going to call it evil. It's not good for you. It's not good for any of us. And you think about this world that we live in, we've always had difficulty with this. That's not in question. But now with the access that we have to so much information about so much and are comparing and contrasting, are seeing stuff that we never even dreamed that we would ever see or hear about. We have so much access to so much negativity and it's constantly swirling. That's just the real negativity. Never mind our perceptions, our subjective perspective on life when we're seeing things as negative when they're really not. So if you combine all that, you know, you think about this. Think about this number. Roughly every single day, you have about 60,000 different thoughts. How much percentage of those are positive and how much are negative? There's no other option. There's no neutral. How much percentage of your thoughts are being positive? How many percentage of your verbalizations are positive or negative? That's another exercise. Think about that. How much of your body language is displaying assertion and positivity or negativity? How about your communications to receiving? How much percentage of that comes in negative? I'm not gonna lie. There's some days where there's very little positivity coming from the outside in. You have to be the commander of your control center. You have to dictate to the message management. You are the boss of you. You regulate. You learn to say, not for me. I'm going to add this in instead, or I'm going to adjust that negativity to positivity. You can't be delusional. I want to be very clear about this. You can't deceive yourself. It has to be good, truly good, accurate, and useful messaging. If you have that, then now here's where the hunt becomes. The hunt is you have to find out what those true messages are from the source that you can trust, that has your best interest in mind all the time. Who's the expert that knows what those positive messages are? Because you can say it to yourself all day long. I am lovable. I am likable. I am significant. I am good. You can go on all day long. But if you don't have a trusted message that's really true, then you're just lying to yourself. And a lot of people do that. And those are called faulty thinking tactics. People try to reduce or eliminate or deny or rationalize or project or all these different things that we do in our mind to try to deceive ourselves that negatives are actually positives. You can't do that. It doesn't work that way. All right, let me roll back one more time on that negativity and the metabolic process. What does that really mean? That means that once we have negativity where we think it, whether it comes because we did something negative out of our verbalizations or our body language, or it's something that we received, the moment we have that, we have to acknowledge, number one, that there's negativity there. Number two, we have to find out what the origin of it is. Where did it start? Was it with you, somebody else? Number three, you have to accept ownership. And I mean, that sometimes is a big battle for folks. You guys know this. You see this all the time. You can tell somebody, everybody can tell somebody all day long, come on, this is on you. And they refuse, they deny. And there's a lot of reasons why folks deny ownership of negativity, lots. Guilt and shame being a big one of them. And so once you acknowledge that and accept the ownership of it, then you have to make a decision. Do I responsibly manage this through assertion, or do I do it through a form of aggression? Assertion is the winner all day long, no questions asked. It's not even close. It's the one that costs the most, though. It takes the most time to develop. It takes the most sacrifice. It probably adds a layer of suffering in the beginning on the learning curve. But once you get used to it, it becomes second nature. It becomes your default, and then life is much, much easier to manage. But it's no, hey, it takes work, and it's not fun. And when you have to work for something like that, that means you can't, all the other stuff you'd rather be doing, recreation, having fun, playing, your addictions, you go on down the list. That's what's more appealing. That's short term. That's temporary. That's what a lot of folks do. It doesn't work. It will never work, and it causes more problems. So by honoring the metabolic process, by being intentional and being assertive, once you have did all those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then the very next step is to say, okay, now I have to find a way to let this go. And by letting it go, I can't drop it onto someone else's property. I can't continue to keep it on my property. So you have to find a source where you can dump it. A therapist or a counselor or a pastor or whatever else. I don't know if that's viable. It's temporary, and it doesn't really truly get rid of it. This is where a lot of people seek out a higher power. And there's lots of reasons why people seek out a higher power, but one of them is I can no longer manage this, and I need some help, and I need a destination where I can plant this so that it's no longer under my premises. That's something that you have to answer for yourself, and do the research and be objective. Think about it. Why would I choose to believe in this? And then go through, does it work or doesn't it work? Is it foolproof or not? Once you make that determination where that source is, that's where the negativity has to go. And in order to be able to do that, I'm going to tell you right now, this is the two most difficult things for us humans to do. You have to choose to forgive the source that started the negativity in the first place. And that means you say, okay, I'm going to let it go. I'm no longer going to hold on to it or blame them or target them or want them to learn a lesson or to be punished or for fairness. I'm going to let it go, and it's not my responsibility to try to dictate to the source of that negativity. Or it's that you, and this is really difficult as well, you ask for forgiveness and believe that you're forgiven. So many of us walk around with guilt and shame, beating ourselves up for mistakes and wrongs that we've made. That's not very freeing. It stacks more of that negativity. You have to learn to say, you know what? If I've been forgiven, I have to believe it, and I have to act out of that. I'm no longer, once that message pops in again, accusing you, once that message pops in again, telling you you messed up and you need to suffer and you need to be punished, there will be consequences for everything we do or don't do. But ultimately, you can't carry that negativity around, or else it's just going to bury you. You want to be free and loose from the negativity. And those two things that I just got done saying that to me it's very difficult in your own human condition to truly forgive and to truly believe you're forgiven. I want you to think about that. I want you to think about any kind of negativity you might be holding on to. And I want you to think about where it gestated, even if it's yourself. And I want you to think about, gosh, why would I choose to hold on to this negativity when I can let it go? Why would I continue to say yes to this damage and no to being free of it? Forgiveness is not reconciliation. Forgiveness is for you. It's not for the other person. They might be a beneficiary of your forgiveness. And reconciliation is a whole other ball game. We'll get into that at some other session. But for now, I want you to really think about that list of negativity. Every time someone's disapproved you or rejected you, criticized you, made fun of you, called you names, anytime someone has ignored you, anytime someone has not empathized with you in your scenario, good or bad. Any single time that someone's complained or blamed or whined to you, all of these scenarios, never mind a direct overt hostility, and that's out there. Go drive, especially where we live in San Diego. Good luck. There's so much hostility out there, it's not even funny. So much me first. I don't care about the whole big picture. I'm gonna do what I do, and I don't care of how it impacts anyone else. Every single day, everywhere you go, people are evaluating and judging you and either disapproving you or approving of you, either accepting you or rejecting you. We have so much negativity happening all the time. And like I said, you don't want to just close out the day with forgiving and asking for forgiveness and believing you're forgiven. You have to do it by the moment. But we don't like to. We like to feel justification that someone wronged us and that we deserve to be angry or hostile or to be aggressive back. We want fairness. We want justice. I get it. Trust me, I get it. I had to fight everything in me being falsely accused, literally on 10 different things. I was falsely accused. There was some truth in a little bit, but it got twisted up and none of it was viable. And so I got to throw all of it out. There was no lesson to be learned other than I can no longer trust this person. This person's not looking out for my best interest. This person's not focusing on all the good stuff and all the sacrifices and all the love that I've provided to this person. This person is focusing on all these negative things to try to get me to be controlled and to walk around with my tail between my leg. Not going to happen. I'm going to metabolize it all, and I have to fight because my natural inclination, just like yours, is I want to fight back and I want to correct and I want to, hey, I want to provide evidence and my case that everything you're saying is wrong and that it's selfish and that it's projective and you're doing it for your own selfish ambition. If I go down that road, I'm doing the very same thing that they did to me. I'm being aggressive back. At some point, if you want to be free from negativity and those difficult circumstances, you got to grow up, you got to mature, you got to build that skill up, and you got to apply it. That's what actual wisdom is. You want to be wise. If you're wise, everything else falls into place. Wisdom is you do the right thing in every single scenario. You apply it. You don't think about it. You don't, oh yeah, I know what to do. You actually do it. And in order to actually do it, you overcome your fears, your justifications, your desire for vengeance, et cetera, et cetera. You grow up. And there's not enough of us that do that. We're not taught this. We're not held accountable to do this. And some of it really, when it boils down to it, you're not loving yourself. Why would you choose to carry around negativity? I went and did a workshop for about 25 people that work with very difficult patients, let's call them. And I've talked about the whole metabolic process and how much negativity they were getting hit with. The clients were coming in every day, a very high pressured, demanding environment. And they're coming in with fear and they're stressed out and they feel guilty because they've been irresponsible. Some of them are very lonely. Some are bored. Some are very greedy. Some of them want more than what they deserve. Some of them are super entitled. Some of them are aggressive. A lot of them are complaining. A lot of them are blaming. And rightfully so. Life is rough. I get it. But the way they're going about it makes it a very negative, charged environment. And as I was talking to the 25 people that work together as a team, and they're aware of all of this, and I simply asked them, I said, if you knew what you needed to do in order to get rid of the negativity and flush it out, metabolize it every single day by being assertive and by forgiving and asking for forgiveness and letting go and putting that into practice, I said, by raising your hand, the higher you raise it, that's the more motivated you are to learn how to the metabolic process. I was shocked. Out of the 25 people, very smart people, very capable people, very what seemed like very kind and caring people, I said, if you choose to be motivated and you do it, that wisdom again, you will be free. You'll have more peace and more joy. They knew the consequences of holding on to the negativity. They know the damage. We went through the list of all the potentials. And not one person raised their hand fully all the way up. And there was some that were here and most were here. And then there was even ones down here and ones that didn't even raise. And I asked them, I said, why would you not want to love yourself? Why would you not want to be free of the negativity? And they all basically said they would prefer the justification of holding on to it. So therefore, they can target the other person as the problem, and they don't have to use their resources to responsibly manage that negativity. In essence, this is a daily thing for me. It's a daily thing for you. I don't care who you are, where you are. We all have this challenge every single day. What are we going to choose? You have the power to choose. Are you going to choose the best thing for yourself and everybody in your circle of influence? Or are you going to choose destruction? Every single Friday, I'm going to record this. It'll be available to you guys. I want you to contemplate the stuff that I'm talking about here. I want you to come with your questions. I want you to come with your specifics, the particulars of your difficult circumstances. And I want to get into the weeds, and I want to give you practical things that you can think, say, and do so that you can learn to make the best choice in every scenario. But I will leave you with this. It's a plea. It's a appeal to love yourself. Think about the negativity. Be very particular and specific about it. Write it down. Do this exercise I shared with you, or just get it on paper or type it out. Be as specific as possible, and then make a decision. Is it worth holding on and allowing that damage? It's not going to magically disappear. It's not going to metabolize on its own. It is stuck within you. And you guys know what I'm talking about. You know, some of you are buried in the negativity, and it's got you depressed or apathetic. It is dictating and dominating, and it owns you. It's destroying you. Is that how you want to live your life? You're not promised another day. You should honor today and not magically think that something is going to change remarkably on its own. You have to be intentional. You have to put work in. You have to prioritize taking care of yourself. And remember this as well. You don't do this, then your role model and teaching and influence, you're dropping that negativity onto other people as well. So not only is it about you, but it's about the people that you love, or allegedly love, or supposedly love, or should love. It's not loving to keep transferring negativity, is it? I don't think so. You got any questions or comments or suggestions? I'd love to hear all of it. And ultimately, I'm your ally in this life, and I want to be of help. So I look forward to seeing you guys next Friday. You guys enjoy, and remember, be intentional. Think about every single moment of every single day and make the wise decision. Hopefully, we'll see you next week. Take care.